Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, I'm going to talk just a little bit about the big picture across the whole of the country. I'm with Anthony in terms of the language. We are talking about regional transport bodies, and it's great to see the department be comfortable with the regional word. I'm on my third incarnation of regional structures, and I think that kind of tells me something, that fundamentally, as a group of subnational transport bodies, regional transport bodies, the reason why we've always come back to that agenda is the fact that ultimately there are strategic issues which we know intuitively need to be addressed at a strategic level. We know that there is benefit in sharing knowledge and information and experience in addressing some of the challenges. And we also know that as Ben's just touched on in his introduction there's a benefit from having a local voice, a strong local voice, working together, feeding into the national debate on investment priorities. And if you go back to the original reason as to when the legislative framework was set before Parliament, the department set out three very clear areas where they could see that subnational transport bodies would add value. One was providing that input into the National Roads Programme. Secondly, about the rail processes, both the investment in infrastructure and also franchising, and the issues around ticketing. Now, these were all issues where the government could see that there was a need for and a benefit from actually looking at that at a regional level, bigger than the local, but lower than the national level. And so what you've seen is the emergence of these subnational transport bodies coming in response to that, being led very much from the local perspective. And whilst we are on another incarnation of regional agendas, it's interesting to look at the scale and the difference this time in terms of the regional. So we've got an area which is much larger in transport for the north. We have the Midlands connecting the West and the East Midlands in ways perhaps that wasn't so obvious in the past generation of regional agendas. And within England's economic heartland, we actually go across 4 previous government office regions, reflecting the economic geography is very different. And you have yourselves in transport for the South East. Another issue for ourselves as England economic heartland and also transport for the South East is the relationship with London. And if you look at the draft, look at the London Mayor's transport strategy, there are implications for both of us, north and south of the Thames. I think the key thing for me to think about when you're looking at the opportunities today creates is thinking about how the investment in infrastructure and services needs to address that challenge which Ben's touched on about economic productivity. We know that we are in parts of some of the most economically productive parts of the country. But equally, we know that when we compare ourselves with global competitors, we have still got some way to go. And if you think about the way in which we make our investment choices, it's going to be as much about the investment choices in the existing infrastructure and services as it is going to be about making investment choices in large new infrastructure. And that's where it becomes quite a challenge, and I think where the opportunity for subnational transport bodies lies, because we need to have a very strong understanding and relationship with the business community to understand future business needs. We need to have the relationship not just with the local enterprise partnerships, but with the business community as a whole. Because what we need to be able to deliver to you as a business community is a sense of the clarity and the certainty that the investment in transport and infrastructure and services will be there when we say it will be there. So it gives you the confidence as businesses to make the investment choices you will make in terms of helping us deliver some of the economic opportunities. And if we think about the societal changes, if we think about our everyday lives, each and every one of us are making different choices in the way we do things these days, the way we purchase things, the way of leisure and recreational time. Those are quite fundamental to society as we move forward. And as an opportunity and also a challenge for subnational transport bodies as we move forward to actually think about how we knit that and reflect that into the transport strategies that we move forward. Because we need to be anticipating the future. We need to be shaping a vision for the future that people can respond to, both as businesses and as individuals. I think the good news in terms of subnational transport bodies, and the reason why I was asked to come along today, is because we are working together already as a group. The 4 of us meet regularly. We meet on a quarterly basis. Indeed, we've got one meeting coming up next week. And what we've seen is a really strong and powerful desire on the part of government and its agencies to want to work with us. The original idea behind the group came from Highways England, who were looking for input from the subnational transport body, as they started to develop their roads investment strategy for the next 5 years. But equally, what was even more exciting for us as subnational transport bodies was their work around the 2050 vision, a really powerful piece of work which needs to be fed into and built upon as we move forward. Similar level, we've got a strong relationship with Network Rail, working with them on through their system operator function, which takes the big picture, looks to see how the railway network knits across the whole of the country and how it relates to us. And finally, the relationship with the Department for Transport. I have to say, I've been involved in strategic transport planning for 15 or 20 years now, and all the way through that, Department for Transport has been a strong advocate and supporter of working at a regional level. And I think we've seen that through the announcement this morning. So we have their support, we have their engagement, we have their work as part of a subnational transport bodies. Ben touched on about the fact that in 1st of April this year, we saw Transport for the North become a statutory body. I think the good news is that sets us a template on which we can build. Just to remember, though, that in terms of the powers and the requirements that we'll be looking for, we want to align each and every one of the proposals to what is needed in an area rather than necessarily taking a template and applying a one-size-fits-all. I think that approach is really important. We've seen Midlands Connect being funded for the last 3 or 4 years now, being able to make good progress. Ourselves in England's economic heartland and yourselves now in Transport for the South East, we've finally got some really substantial funding that we can move forward on. So what you'll see us doing through that group of subnational transport bodies is working together, learning from the Transport for the North experience, thinking about how we can accelerate our own proposals so that we get these subnational transport bodies in place as quickly as possible. In the long term, we've got a real opportunity here to shape the future and to make us fit for the 21st century and beyond. It talks about, and it needs to have collaborative working, not just between transport bodies, but between the transport bodies and the business community and the wider community. And today is a really fantastic start for that journey that we're all about to begin. So congratulations to Transport for the South East, and we'll look forward to continuing to work with you as you move forward. Thank you very much.